Got a lens in for review which was sent in via a PR company. It's the Brightin Star Apex Series 35mm APO lens. Quick unboxing. Included is your warranty card, lens hood, and this is made out of metal. Some of the key features with this lens: APO design or apochromatic, and it has aspherical elements. The company says it's good for 60 megapixels of resolution. Quite a complex design as well, with 11 elements. Very small compact size, but it does have a very appealing glossy finish. Don't have any information if it's going to be released in a silver version. Comes with a clear rear lens cap, and we'll just remove that to show you. And we have obviously quite a close rear element. Overall machining quality is very good in terms of the finishing. Now the supplied lens cap, that does have a felt lining, and that's also metal. Nice little touch with the 35 1.7 APO on the inside. Front of the lens with the 39mm filter thread. You can remove that ring that comes with it straight out of the box. It does take a bit of effort to get that off. One of the reasons for that is because we do have a rubber gasket there. Now I'll just screw on the lens hood, and honestly it's probably worth keeping this on, and I'll show you the reason why that is later on. Moving on to the other features now, we have a very long focus throw of 307 degrees. There is a click stop at 70 centimeters, and the tiger claw, as they call it, is built in. You can't remove that. With the aperture ring, that has click stops, and we have half stop increments. I think they've got the resistance just about right on that. It's not too hard to push. I haven't had any issues accidentally changing the aperture. The fine ribs do give quite a lot of grip on the aperture and the focus ring. Now we're going to talk about the adapters. I do have the Z mount adapter for Nikon, and that's what I'll be testing it on. There are of course other adapters for mirrorless cameras. You can see how the lens elements move when I'm focusing from near to far. Decent amount of resistance on that focus ring. Now I'll just show you the aperture blades. They have 11 of them in total. I'm going to start off with some of the tests now. So onto the lens flare, and this is one where you're going to see some differences in terms of the flare depending on the angle. The Sunstar effect is quite soft on this lens. I've got some quite strong flare at a specific angle with the lens, so make sure you use that hood. Or of course you can just use your hand to shield it. Out and about, didn't see too many issues. Very slight barrel distortion for a 35mm, that's quite good. The vignetting, quite obvious, wide open, and it remains there even when you're stopping it down, although it's much less obvious. It never really fully clears up, but it's certainly manageable. As far as the chromatic aberration performance, very good, as you would expect for an APO lens. There's no obvious fringing. If you start zooming into 400%, you may occasionally see a few coloured pixels. Really, it's a non-issue for real-world use, so you have no worries in this regard, even wide open. Onto the resolution test now. Here's our test shot, and we're shooting wide open in the middle. There isn't really much difference when you stop down. Perhaps a slight bit of extra contrast. Really good performance in the middle. Into the corners on the edges, very good as well. Really nothing to fault here. Slight improvement stopping down, but really it's very minor. Just a double check, I also did the wall shot again, and looking into the corner, you can see that the resolution, it's right there across the frame, even wide open. The close focus, dual floating focus groups, and the performance wide open is good. Slight improvement when you take it down to f2.8. Let's look at the outer focus areas and the rendering, because obviously this is very important for any type of lens. So I'm focusing about halfway into the shot here at f4. Smooth overall appearance. There's no obvious double outlining or strange edges. And the same also applies in the foreground. Didn't see any issues there. Of course, I've done additional tests and real world shots later on. Here's another shot at f4. Looking at the background, it's a smooth overall rendering, but people do have their own taste. Here's another shot that I took at f5.6, and I'm focusing about 3 meters in front of me, just to put the background out of focus. quite a good job overall here. There's no obvious nervousness, although it's not quite as smooth. Here's one wide open. You can see where I'm focusing, about a meter in front of me. Even though a busy background, did a good job on that. And I'll just show you a quick video of the aperture blades so you can see how they react when you stop them down. I don't see any obvious onion rings, so they must be using good quality aspherical elements. With the focus breathing test, that result shouldn't shock anybody. This type of lens would typically appeal to photographers more than video users. And I'll just run through some of my sample images. I've tried to capture as many different ones as I can. There's no additional processing with the vignetting or any distortion. So you'll be able to see the effect that you're going to get at different apertures. The 35mm to me is an all-rounder. That's one of its attractive points for some users. The lens has a very attractive contrast even at the faster apertures. I have found that consistently across the images. I haven't done any wild processing on these, by the way. It's what I call fairly natural processing out of the camera. Real world use, didn't see any problems with any strange looking effects in the background. Out of the hundreds of images that I took, I didn't have any that I would consider to be ugly or problematic. In fact, quite the reverse. It was almost always very smooth. And you just don't have to worry about chromatic aberration. It's a complete non-issue in terms of real world use. Now, it did take me a while to get used to the focus throw because it's so long compared to many of the lenses that I use, but after a while, I got the hang of it okay. You can get action shots with this lens, obviously going to be doing old school, pre-focusing mostly, but that fast 1.7 aperture can be very useful for low light situations and for throwing the background out of focus. I shot images out of the camera and raw processor. Really didn't need to do much at all to the images because they just had a natural micro contrast without looking overdone. It's a very subjective thing to say. I've used enough lenses now to notice the difference when you're using them. You can see for yourself whether you like the look of the images, but typically this is going to be for someone who wants excellent control of chromatic aberration. And you can shoot wide open 1.7 without any worries at all about the sharpness or resolution. As far as I'm concerned, the only obvious drawback is the lens flare, which could be a bit better, so make sure you do use that lens hood. The glossy black finish does look very appealing, but it does pick up dirt and dust very quickly. That's a minor point which doesn't really make any difference on the lens performance. Other than Leica's own APO F2, there isn't much out there that competes directly with this, and obviously that has a fairly substantial price difference between these two. I hope that video helped you. I try to show as much detail as I can, but if you have any questions or if you've got any thoughts, do drop a comment below. Always happy to help you if I can.